Okay, good afternoon. I'm Henry Okutetu. I work with the Dodowa Health Research Center as a research officer, and I'm glad to be your host for today's session of the African Digital Skills Conference 2022. This afternoon, we are going to do some basics of Excel that we need for our daily lives, and I'll be very glad to take you through the basics. And then, if possible, we will also do some hands-on practicals, and you also have a fair knowledge what to do with Excel and how best you can also find your ways in Excel. So if you have any questions, you can put them inside the chat box where I will see them and I will address them. Okay. So starting, I'm sharing my slides. Let me know if you can see the slides before I continue. So I have the slides I'm sharing, basic Excel for daily life, and it's been prepared by me, Henry Okutetu. So okay, so this is the objective of today's section. You understand the use of spreadsheet and Excel, and then you learn the part of the Excel window. You also scroll through your worksheet and navigate between worksheets. You should be able to create and save a workbook file. You should be able to also enter numbers, text, and date into worksheet. Then you should be able to also resize, insert, and then remove columns and rows. You should also be able to select and move cell ranges, and then insert formulas and functions, how to work with formula. You should also be able to insert, delete, move, and then rename worksheets, and then work with editing tools. Then you should also be able to preview and then print a workbook in your Excel. So to start with, now this is how, or this is part of an Excel screen. If you are watching from the laptop, very soon I will allow you guys to open your Excel so that as I share my screen, you also be able to see whatever you are doing from here. So when you take a critical look at the screen, this is how an Excel workbook looks like. This is the old version, or as at Excel 2010, and this is the old version that we have here. So normally it comes with the name. If you can see where the cursor is, you have the book 1. And whenever you open an Excel sheet, it stores or it gives it a default name as book 1. So when you read here, it says Excel stores spreadsheets in files called workbook. The content of the workbook are shown in a workbook window. So that is book 1. And then we also have what you call the formula bar. We have here the formula bar. If you see what the cursor is, we have the FX, then the space is there. So that is what you call the formula bar. Anything you type goes in there, it shows you whatever you type there. And you can also do the editing there whilst it goes to the preferred cells in which you are typing. When you watch just opposite that, we also have what you call the name box. And then the name box display the reference cell or the reference cell or the active cell. When you click on, let's see, the intersection of A and 1, you see 1. That tells you that the active cell or the cell where you've highlighted is called A1. So from the picture we are seeing, we have case 17, which is the column, and then the 17th row. And also we have we have headings. We have the vertical headings and then we have the horizontal headings. The vertical headings that have the heading names A, B, C, D. With such ones, we call them columns. So we have column A, we have column A, column B, column C, column D. It goes and goes on. Then when we come to the horizontal one, we also have row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5. And the intersection of a row and a column gives what you call the name of the cell. Miss, are we okay? If you are okay with the explanation I'm giving, you can show in the chat box, and then I will then continue. So basically, that's what you have here, the overview of the workbook. Okay, thank you, Isaac. So I'm scrolling down, and then I have the down there. We have sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, and then the 3 of them have been placed in the bracket, and they call it. It said a workbook is made up of individual sheets. So in the workbook, we have what you call the individual sheet. In each sheet, you can define whatever you want to be in each sheet. For instance, if you are a market woman and you deal with product, so your sheet A can deal with, let's say, perishable goods, and then your sheet B may deal with, maybe you have cosmetics, so your sheet B can be cosmetics. So you can organize them into separate sheets, and then that will make everything very, very good for you. So basically, that's how the Excel is like. Okay, so we also have, so I explained each intersection of a row and a column is called a cell. So a cell is the intersection of a row and then a column. And it's inside that cell that you type whatever you want to type, whatever value you want to assign, whatever number you want to assign. It's in that cell that you put it there. So we have here what you call the column headings, which are organized. Yeah. A, B, C. Either increase to 1. So we are showing, I was showing the various parts of the Excel screen that we have. And then, so currently introducing Microsoft Excel 2010, it looks quite archaic or old, but sometimes getting things from the basics is important. So computer programs used to enter or store or analyze data and present them in what you call the quantitative way. Now, quantitative, what you talk about quantitative is simply anything that deals with numbers. And then we have qualitative that also deals with more of a text. So we create what you call the electronic version of spreadsheet. Now, spreadsheets can just be maybe a sheet of paper that you have whatever you want to present on. And each paper have its main content. So to get the name spreadsheet, that's how the name spreadsheet is also being derived. Now, we also display values that are being calculated from the data. So that's a spreadsheet. Now, when you look at what you have here, we have the cash flow comparison. This is not a drawing. This is something that is being created in Excel that each and every one of you can also create similar thing like this. So this is a cash flow comparing a budgeted amount to an actual amount. So the person have it this way, and then comparing the amounts that they spend with the amounts that they are actually budgeted for. So in actual sense, this thing can be designed in such a way that you will also find the difference to see if the person has spent more than being budgeted for. Do you understand? Yes. So that is what we can also use Excel for. So a workbook have two main kind of sheets, which is the worksheet and then the chart sheet. So the worksheet takes in the data, and then the chart sheet also provides what you call the visual representation. Visual representation are the graphs, the chart, the histogram that you like to draw. You have your data to show that, okay, there are 5 females in the class against 19 males in the class. How do you represent that? To make that look beautiful, even though you have it in a worksheet, but you can also add a chart to show how visually beautiful they are. So that's what we have. And then we also have what you call the cell reference. Cell reference identifies the row and then the column intersection, where you type whatever you want to type or text whatever formula you want to put in. So there are means you can get to your cell reference or your reference cell. So in Excel, you can navigate between worksheets by using the sheet tabs, or you can also navigate within the worksheet by using your mouse to using your mouse to go through the normal means, moving from one step to another. So use your mouse, move from the keyboard, or you go to the dialog box and then type in the reference list. So when you open your Excel and you do Control-G, use the shortcut Control-G, it gives you this dialog box you are seeing here, which gives you go to. And when you type in your reference number or the cell reference, it takes you there to the cells you are talking about. So that is how best you can also go to the reference cell. Now, these are some shortcuts or some keys that you can use in Excel. The arrow down, so we have the up arrow. So the first one, you have the up, the down, the left, and then the right cells. These keys are all on the keyboards. You can use them to navigate in your Excel. Zainab, do you have a laptop close to you so you can later, when we get to the practical aspect, you will be able to do whatever you are going to do? You said it's working on phone. So on the keyboard, we also have a key that we have a key called home. And when you tap on that key, it takes you to column A of the current row. Then you also have the control home key. So these are keys that you can use for a shortcut in Excel. And when you get there, you start them and then you try new things and you see how interesting it is to know some shortcuts in Excel. Now, how do you plan your workbook? Okay, Zainab, thank you. There will be a recorded version of there'll be a recorded session. So I'm very sure the session will be shared with you later so that you can have to practice anytime you want to practice. Thank you. So planning a workbook. Now, you will need to, you work in a shop, and when you get there, you see that all what they do is that they write in book or they use pen and paper to keep records. Meanwhile, they have a laptop there, they have a computer there. Now, you also need to think that what value will I be able to add to this organization I'm working with? So there, maybe your mindset is that, okay, I've learned about using Excel. how best can I use Excel? So if you want to use Excel, then you have to sit down and plan. And before you plan, you should have the goal or the purpose of the workbook that you want to create. Maybe the workbook you want to create, is it a workbook that you're using it to report monthly sales or weekly sales? Or maybe you want to create a workbook that I'm using for daily sales. If you want to create a workbook for a daily sales, that you may create so many workbooks in one, or you may create so many worksheets in one Excel, and that'll be very, very huge. So maybe you might plan to say, okay, let me create it either weekly. Then as the days are going by, you may understand and know what to do, and then know how best you can adjust more workbook or more worksheets together. Then two, you also need to ask yourself type of data to collect. Now in Excel, when you type your date, you might think that you just type the date, but sometimes it picks the date as a different format. For instance, when you are entering a date like 1st June 1990, and you write 1st June, so you use 01-06, which is 01 is first and then 06 is June. If you are not lucky, Excel may interchange them and make it 6 January, because you have not defined whatever you want to put in there. So somebody may take your workbook and try to check the format of the date. When they enter the date, you see that the date will be a different thing of what you have, and that will be a lot of confusion. Then the next thing is the formula needed to apply to your data. Now, when you are dealing with sales and keeping records, you should think about the formula you also need to apply, because if you are entering for quantity and then amount, and then so you have something like number of items at stock, then unit cost, and then the amount. You should also try to input a formula so that the formula will get everything on board. When the formula gets everything on board, all what you need to do is to enter all your values correctly, and Excel will automatically do the corrections for you by using what you call the autofill. Then the next thing is the appearance of your workbook content. How do you want your workbook content to appear? Is it just something plain that you think will be okay for you, or you want to make it look more nice? However I want it to appear, you want it to appear with headings, with footer, and then headers. That is something you should also think of. Then you can also think about this. Then when you are done with all this, then you think about your data to enter. Are they text? Are they numeric, or date or time data? This one should also be organized. Then entering the text. So new data appears in both the active cell and then the formula. So when you are entering something, it appears in both the active cell, which is the cell in which you are being typed, or you are doing your typing, and then we have what you call the formula bar, which also appears there. Then also have what you call the truncation. To truncate means to cut. So sometimes you are entering something and you see that there will be a pop-up, which means Excel have seen that there is, you've entered something already, so it will not even ask you to continue. Then it will pop up and use what you call the autocomplete feature to get it. Then to also enter multiple lines of text within a cell. This is one thing that sometimes people don't know, because they feel like in Excel, you can navigate your ways easily. So to enter multiple lines within a cell, it becomes so difficult. But to enter multiple lines within a cell, there's a shortcut to use, which to break the text or to break the line. And it's the Alt with the Enter key that will do that for you. So this is an example of a worksheet with some data being entered into it. But then we have here numeric data or numeric values. So Excel automatically, most of the time, when you do it numeric or do it currency, it formats the work to give you the currency in dollars. and then when you can see that with what you have on the screen, we have the last name. Then row 1 have the last name, and then row 1, column 1. So that's A1 have what you call the last name, B1 have what you call the first name, and it continues. So those are the headers of whatever we are entering. So any data we enter in Excel mostly have a header, and the last name, first name, address, date, DVDs, price per DVD are what you call the header. So below it, we also have number 2. So the number 2 or the row 2 defines data that is being entered for an individual. So for instance, when we take row 2, we can see that, okay, his last name is Davis, and then his first name is Gregory. So that's his address quoted there, and then the date was as at 13th March 2013, and he had 7 DVDs, and then the price per DVD is $17.29. So that's describe an individual. Okay, so working with columns and rows. Now, when you are working with columns and rows, you can resize the columns, or you can copy a whole column to another column, or you can also modify and adjust how you want them to be. Sometimes whatever you enter in that cell is too small, and Excel have what you call the text wrap. It's wrapped them, and you might think they are not appearing. So when you can resize the column to see everything that is being written in there. So to make the data easier to be read, now you need to modify the size of the columns and rows in the worksheet, because you are the one watching it. If you can't read what you are seeing, then you have to modify the size of the rows and columns in the worksheet. Then 2, you also need to drag the border to resize. Then you double click on the border to also auto fit. I'm reading this, but we'll get there, and then we'll make we'll do a practical on it. Okay. So so these are the this one shows how the dimension of the column width and then the row width, which sometimes you can also change them by dragging, or you can also just change the row width to fit however you want it to be. Okay. So this is an example. You can see that what you are seeing here, number 2 or the row 1, yeah, it looks smaller, but row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5, they look bigger, and you can see everything that is written inside. This means that they have been resized. The rows and then the columns have been resized. You understand? When you look at the column A, column B, column C, the sizes are not that equal to the column D. Is that okay? Okay. So that's what you call resizing. Now you can also insert a column or a row. You can also insert a column or a row. From what you saw earlier on, we have A to the last name. So C is address and D is date. Now, please, I'm switching between the screens, so you should watch. Now, the earlier one, we have D to be date, but with this one, we have the D now to the phone numbers, which means that another column was inserted, and that column was named phone numbers. So that phone numbers will drag all the phone number of whoever came for, or whoever went to buy a DVD. Is that okay? Okay. So I'm going back again. You can see here, column D have dates and column E have DVDs. Now, when I move to the next one, column D now have the phone there because there was an insertion of a new column there to take care of a phone number. So a phone number, and then E now is date, and then it continues. Okay, so you can also delete or clear content in a row or column. Then deleting, remove both the data and then the cell. But when you clear something, it only clears the data you have entered. But when you delete, it deletes both the row, move. If you are deleting column wise, delete the column, everything in that column with the column itself. If you are deleting row wise, it deletes everything in the row and the row itself. You understand? But when you clear the data, means that you fully clear what the data you have fed into that column or that row. So they are two different things. They are two different things. Now, this is another visual overview of some things we have here. So I'll make this more practical so that we will understand it. Especially of our colleague who will have to watch this on the phone. Who have to watch this on the phone. Now, when you look at the formula bar, you can see that they have an expression there that says that equal to bracket H6 is to H9. And in the bracket close. That's the formula that is being entered in H10, right? That's a formula that is being entered into H10. But this side of the screen cannot show us our H10, so we have to continue now. So basically, this is visual representation of whatever I talked earlier about entering the date, entering the price, and then making your calculations so that they could just tally everything for you. So you don't need to use a calculator while you are using Excel. So this is a visual representation of this, of whatever you're talking about. So working with cells and then a range. Now, range reference indicates locations and size of a cell range. So we can select, for instance, from column A1 to G5, and we say that's an adjacent. So they are in line. Then non-adjacent, we can also select column A1 to A5, and then from there, we jump from F1 to G5, and we see they are not adjacent because there is a break in between. We have not selected all. Also, we can also select from A1 to G5, and that will be adjacent. But the moment there is a break, then we say it is what? Non-adjacent cell and range reference. So that's it. Now, the reason why we deal with this is that you can also copy or move or cut a cell range. You can either cut it out into a different worksheet or cut it out to a different position on that same worksheet. So that's why we need to know this. So this is talking about setting a cell range. So now when you copy something in Excel and enter and you want to paste it, there are ways in which the pasting work. Are you pasting to shift the old one, or you are pasting to cover up the old documents there? When we get there, you will see all the examples there, and then we'll be able to make our way through. Now, we also have working with formula. Working with formula. A formula is an expression that returns a value in Excel. Any formula in Excel starts with the equal to sign. So, for instance, when you have, let's say, cell A1 and cell B1, where cell B1 we have a value like 2, and cell A1 have a value also like 3. Is my screen showing? Sorry. So, for instance, operation called addition. In an operation called addition, where we have the arithmetic operator as a plus. So we can say, okay, equal to a value, which is 10 plus A1. And when you are doing the addition, it should be numeric values. You understand? It should be numeric values. Because you can't say B plus 10. B plus 10 will not give us either 11 or either C. So in addition, or when you are doing addition, you should make sure that your values should be numeric, or else it will give you an answer, for instance, non-applicable, NA, which means that you are doing wrong additions. For instance, and then subtraction also, you can add one numeric cell, or you can add and subtract one numeric cell from the other, if and only if they are all numeric. Multiplication as well, you can also multiply values in Excel, and they use the key core or the key, the symbol that represents multiplication or the arithmetic operator multiplication in Excel is the star symbol. We also have the division sign, which is the forward slash. Use that one for division. So if you want to do any division in Excel, use what you call the forward slash. Then you also have the exponential, or what you call raised to the power. Okay. Okay, please, do you want to talk? Do you have anything to add? Sorry, I have to go on hold for a minute. Someone is asking a minute excuse. Do you want to talk? Is there anything you want to add so I can allow you to talk? Is there any question? Is there any comment? Hello? If you have any comments, you can type in the chat box or the Q&A. I'll be able to respond to that. Thank you. So you have the exponential. For instance, you have 2 to the power 3. To put that in you use what you call the cap. So the symbol there that looks like a greater than that is being raised up is what we call the cap. So when you use that in Excel, Excel reads as to the power or exponentiation. So when you are going to enter, when you are entering formula in Excel, you should be very careful of the cell, the reference cells that you want to use. And each formula in Excel begins with an equal to signs. Then you calculate the value using the cell reference, or you start at an equal to sign, and then you put in your cell reference, for instance, equal to, then sum into bracket A1 is to A2. That means that you are telling Excel to sum the value in cell A1 and then sum the to the value in A2 for you. And that is what you have. And then summing in Excel, we also have what you call the auto sum. The auto sum. When we get there, I will show you what the auto sum is. Auto sum, you just click on it and it will give you the sum of whatever you are working under it. For instance, if you are typing everything in Excel and there's no space under it, or there's no space in between, and you get to the last end and you click on the auto sum symbol, it just sums everything from A to Z for you. So working with formula in Excel also have an order in which they work. Now we have a set of predefined rules used to determine the sequence in which operators are applied in a calculation. So for instance, when we have the formula to be equal to 50 plus 10 times 5, what happens is that Excel executes 10 times 50 first, 10 times 5 first, after which 50 is being added. And then the next one, we have into bracket. So Excel use what you call the board mass principle, which we have in mathematics. That is what Excel basically uses for its calculations. And now to view a formula, you've written a formula, or somebody have worked on an Excel sheet and sent to you, you don't understand it. To view a formula or to view the expressions that people use or whoever using it, there's a way you can also go in, just click on it, and then you view the kind of formula that was used. Is that okay? And mostly when they are formula, when it is a formula, it starts with an equal to sign. you might see a big value, but when you double click on it, there's no equal to sign there. So it is not a formula. It was just a data that was entered straight into. But the moment you double click it and you see an equal to sign there, means that is a formula. Is that okay? Now you can also copy and paste formula or formulas. You can also copy and paste them. Or you can also do what you call the autofill to be working. So you just autofill it so that it will just paste everything, or it will just preoccupied, so that when you enter your values, the formula will not take effect, and then to give you the values that you are expecting. So guidelines for writing effective formula: 1, you keep them simple. 2, do not hide data values within formula, and then break up formula to show intermediate results. So you shouldn't be piling up formula plenty so that you say, oh, I'm writing a long code. If you are writing a long code in, let's say, any programming language, that is fine. But with Excel as a beginner, with Excel as somebody who wants to begin something, you should keep your formula very, very simple, so that whoever you give to have a look at it will be able to know what exactly you did. Then we are also going to functions. Now, name operations that. Is there any question, please? If anybody have any questions, let me know. Okay. So we have named operations that returns a value that is what? A formula. And simplifies a formula, reducing a long formula into a compact statement. For example, to add values in the range from A1 to A10. There is a way you can do it that looks so long. It has a formula that looks so long, but there's also a function to also use to do that same thing, to add a value, add values in cell A to cell 10. That also looks very, very simple. So for instance, when you want to add cell A to cell 10, so we can start with equal to, and then A1 plus A2 plus A3 up to A10. But Excel also comes with a function so that at least everybody can have their way through. Excel also comes with a function to say that you can also use the function called sum to also accomplish the same result. So you start with equal to, and then you put in your function there, sum into brackets A1 to A0. There are similar functions you can also use to find averages of things. So with the Excel sheet that is being displayed here now, you can see under column F. Under column F, where you have a title DVD. We are summing from F6 here, which is from the first thing which is from Ferris to F9. So we put in the value sum equal to sum into bracket F6 to F9. Then you put in there. So when you do this, this will automatically give you sum of the DVDs that are being sold. Is that okay? We can also do what you call average or sum in rows. So sum can be done in rows and then in columns. It depends on how you have the data. So you can do a sum in rows and a sum in columns. Then the average value in a column or a row. Now, when you have, let's say you have a class record and you want to find the average. You can just do average into bracket. Then you put in your cell references from, let's say, cell A1 to cell A9. That will give you the average value there. Then you can also do the total count either in rows or in columns. Then we also have the minimum value and then the maximum value either in row or in column. So with Excel, most operations that can be operated or can be done both row-wise and then both in column-wise. So you can do your manipulations both in column way or in the row way. So what we've seen so far are operations or manipulations that were done in the column wise. So when you look at column H here, I'm trying to zoom in. When you look at column H here, we have what you call column H, which is a charge. Then the values were there. Then in the last part there where I'm passing my mouse over, we have sum into bracket H6 to H1. That's summing in the column wise. So you are summing everything in that column. Is that okay? Yes. So that is how your addition can be done. Then we can also insert a worksheet. Working with worksheet, you can insert a worksheet, you can delete a worksheet, you can rename a worksheet, however you want to name it. I have some examples of worksheets I'm still working on. I will show them when we get there. Then you can also move or copy a worksheet. You can also move or copy a worksheet. And then place most important worksheet at the beginning. When you have a worksheet that you think you are working on and you think they are very, very important to you, you can place them at the first side of your workbook. So they should come first. So when you open, you know that, okay, based on order of importance, the most important ones come first, and the least important ones will be at the last end. So it's also talk about organizing your work, your whole thing, your worksheet or your workbook. Then editing worksheet content. You can use the edit mode to also edit whatever content you have. Then from here, you can also apply the keyboard shortcut, and there are a lot of ways to do that. You can also undo and redo actions in Excel. But unfortunately, to undo something in Excel, when you delete something and you do more operations or something you are trying to undo, the undo doesn't pick in Excel much better like it picked in that of Word. So you can undo to, let's say, 2 steps in Excel, but you can undo up to 2 steps in Excel. And you can also undo up to, let's say, 5 steps or 10 steps in Word, but you can't undo up to 10 steps in Excel. So when you are working in Excel, you just have to be very, 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 very specific about your work and make sure that you work well so you don't get to mess up. Now, you can also do what you call find and replace. Now you have a whole lot of worksheets and you are trying to look out for one particular customer. You have your store, so you are trying to look out for one particular customer. How do you find out that one particular customer? You can't be going from worksheet 1 to worksheet 10 to look out for that particular customer. So what you have what's called find or control G. When you dial control G, that takes you to the go-to. But when you do the control F, you can also find whatever, it gives you this dialog box. You type whatever you are looking for, and then you find. When you find there, if that's what you're looking for, you go and get the values there. Perhaps you can also find something there and then you want to replace. For instance, you have a name that you think the name was not entered well or well spelled, or maybe there's a change of name of a customer. So the customer standard will have changed my name. You can also use that control F, find his old name, and then try and replace it. And if there are 10 spelling of his old name, which you know they are correctly spelled, you can replace all the 10 with a new name. And then we also have what's called a spelling checker in Excel. People say Excel don't check spelling, but Excel do check spelling. And if you are careful about that, you can also put that into action. So now with Excel, you can also change the view, how you view the worksheet. How do you view the worksheet? Do you view the worksheet in a normal view, page layout view, or page break view? Now, this is important here with the view, how you view your worksheet. This is important because here you'll be able to put in headers and footers. Putting header and footer in Microsoft Word looks so simple. Putting it in Excel also looks so simple, but you have to use what you call the views. When you put it in the page layout view, you'll be able to put in page numbers, you'll be able to put in the headers and then the footers, and however you want it to be. So this is a page layout view. It shows you page by page, whether you set your page to be A4 or A5, it gives you however you want it to be. So we do this in Excel later, and then you get to understand more and see how best you can switch from page to page, or from one view to another view. Then we have what we call the page break. The page break. Page break. So the page break tries and make every page on a new, or start every document on a new page. So you are typing in Excel and you are exceeding an A4 size sheet in Excel. So what it does is that it breaks it, and then all other documents continue on the next page. So you also have to look at your page critically. If whatever you are doing, you don't want maybe when you are coming to print, and then you print a document and you see that one part of the document is being printed on a different sheet, then you also have to look at what you call the page break view, which will give you a very good view to how you want it to fit either on an A3 paper or on an A4 paper. Then you know that you are working within your limit. So using the page break view is very, very, very important. And sometimes before you work, you also have to set the page size. When you set the page size, Excel will just do a demarcation for you to show you that, okay, this your page is A4 and you have the lines in between. So when you see the lines in between, it gives you the borderline and tells you that, okay, this is an A4 size. So when you are typing, you know that this is how far you can type. And you can either make it to be in the portrait form or in a landscape form, which I'll do that demonstration for you. So previewing a workbook, so working with a page orientation. So basically, it works in portrait. Excel works in portrait. That means that the page is taller than wider. So if you see that the variable names are too much or your headers are too much, you can then squeeze it to say, okay, let me just do it to work in what the landscape view. Is that okay? Okay, I can see that some people are joining. We started with a theoretical aspect and trying to go through what Excel is and working with a workbook and doing some petty edits, all by word of mouth and without any illustration. But after this, we will then get into an interactive session where everybody will have at least hands-on on how to do certain things. And currently, we are on what you call the preview a workbook. Previewing a workbook. And I said previewing a workbook will help you. There are three ways. You can preview it in the normal view, in a page layout view, and then in a page break book. And then the normal view is what you'll be seeing all the time when we open Excel. I'm sure each and every one of you have at least opened Excel and maybe tried to do something with Excel, something one or two in Excel. And then the page layout view is one that when you open it, you'll be able to add both header. Okay, I've seen it. So when you open it in the page layout view, you'll be able to add headers and then page numbers. Then a page break preview will also give you one. Either you are working in an A4 size paper or A3 size paper. So when you are working in that and you open it, you know that, okay, the content in which you are feeding the Excel in, you are feeding Excel with, is not working outside the borders in which you want it to fit. If it's not in the borders in which you want it to fit, then you have to, one, adjust to the view. Then you have to adjust to the view to either view it in a landscape form or in a portrait form. Is that okay? And then you can also print a workbook. Now, printing a workbook or printing whatever you have entered in your Excel looks so great because, one, sometimes you can print a whole workbook, and if you are printing something in a large data where we have everything, like the Excel workbook have a lot of data and you don't know how to print, you might end up printing the whole thing and you might be wasting paper. So printing something in Excel is also very, very, very important. Now, the printer provides options for choosing what you want to print. When you do your Control P or you go to your file and print, it gives you a whole lot of things you can print. one, you can print your active cells. Two, you can print the selected cells, or you can print the current workbook. Sorry, you can print the current workbook, the active workbook, or the selected, or print active selection. So when you do your selections, whatever you want to print in Excel, Excel is going to print it for you, and that is it. And sometimes Excel comes is automatically in grid. You can also add your grid to make it look nice. So before you print, you have to preview it. So to preview your print, you see that, okay, when you preview this, does it look beautiful for you? Does it look so nice for you? Is that what you want to see? Does it have the line? Does it have the headers? Do you want to add colors to it? If it's not showing you that, then you can go back and you use what you call the formatting tool. We have in Excel what you call the formatting tool. You format it, and then you make a table to look very nice and attractive, as however you want to see. Okay. So this is something it's showing us here. It's showing us a print preview here. This is Excel 2010. So it looks like if you are having a newer version, it looks like things look quite old here. But when you get to the practical aspect, everybody will understand what is being discussed. So this is an Excel workbook here showing how things have been printed. So we have here the first one here. So we have this here. The one I'm showing the pointer is that the print. So when you do Control P, and then you just press on the print, and without checking this column where my red is, without checking here, then you might end up printing everything from the workbook. So you might, if you have about 1,000 pages, it will be printing, and before you realize, you see that no, you are printing the whole thing. So whenever you want to print in your workbook, the first thing you have to do when you do your Control P, or you go to File and select Print, look at the Print Active sheet, right? Look at this side. When you open it, you scroll down, it will show you a lot of things there, and we'll get it when you get to the practical aspect. So you can also print from one page to another page. So you have here from page this to page that. So that means that you are trying to print specific pages. Is that okay? You can also print front and back. You can also print to fit the scale. You can also choose the type of paper. Basically, these are things that you can also see in Word. These are things that you can also see in Word. So you can also switch to formula view. Switch to formula view, or basically useful when you encounter unexpected results and you want to examine the underlying formula. So you want to check, you are doing something, you see that maybe you have a documentation in your notebook there, and then you have entered all. So after that, you are trying to compare to see if the value you have in your computer is the same value. Is the same value you are having or in your notebook. So you see that there is a difference. So quickly, what you have to do is that you have to go back to check your formula, if the formula is okay, or you have missed something out. If you miss something out, then you simply have to go back and check the formula that you've inputted to see if there's any mistake behind. Then you can go ahead to edit. Now, scaling the printout of your worksheet forces the content to fit on a single page. No matter how bulky the Excel document is, you can scale it to fit on one page. And it all lies in what you call the page layout, where you can do the print. We have a whole lot of stuff to put there. So no matter how bulky a document is, you can just make it fit on one page. But when it fits on one page, if you are not lucky, you might not be able to read whatever printout, or it might be too small. You might need to stress yourself to be able to get through whatever you have put in. So now it's time for us to get interactive, time for us to do something in Excel. So I'm going to allow you guys to see if anybody have anything to say, anybody have any contribution. If you have any contribution, let me know so that I can allow you to talk within the section. Anybody having any contribution to do? Should we move on? Hello, Lydia. Should we move on? Raphael Odro. Okay, Emmanuel says we should move on. Yes. Okay. So the screen, okay, Lydia says okay. So should we move on? Or any question? Okay. So let's get interactive. So we are going to do what you call the hands-on practical. I'm going to open my Excel book or my Excel, and then you see it here. So I'm going to stop sharing this screen, and I'll start sharing the Excel screen that I have. So stop sharing. So this is my Excel workbook here, and we are going to try to do certain things here. So all what you said, is everybody seeing the Excel screen? Are you seeing my Excel screen? Okay, thank you very much. So, okay, that's nice. So I've highlighted column G, right? So to highlight column G, that's what you call, that's column. G is called column. So H is called what? Column. I is called column, right? Then, so I'm going to make use of this. I'm going to make use of this. Now you can see my cursor. I hope you can see the cursor. Now I'm going here to click. There's this plus here. So I'm going to click. I'm clicking on the plus, and the value there is changing or increasing by 10, right? Meaning I'm trying to increase how my workbook or my sheet appears in a workbook. I can also press on minus to see how, or to decrease it. And it is increasing or decreasing by 10. So I've clicked this here, and you can see our E is called what? Our E is called the column. And then 2, 1, that's a row. 2 is also a row. 3 is also a row, right? Okay. Then we have what you call the sheet name. It makes here sheet. It names the sheet or default sheet 1. So we can make the sheet name your name. So I'm Henry. I'm naming my sheet Henry, right? Okay. And sometimes the best you can do is also to be saving your work, right? To be saving your work. To be saving your work. So before I start, I continue, let me then go and save whatever sheet I'm going to work with, so that when I'm working and in case my machine goes off, I may not lose any documents I'm working on. So I go to file, or there's a save button here already. But let's do the long way, and then we do the shortcut as well. So go to file, and then you save. So when you want to save, you choose the folder in which you want to save. Now with the new laptops that have come, They can either save them to the computer or to OneDrive, or you can add a place you want to save them. So I'm saving it on my computer, and then I have a folder called ASDC22 on desktop. So I'm saving it there. So I have here Henry, then I'm saving it here. Right. Okay. So I have, I named the workbook Henry, and then the sheet to be Henry. So now, when you look at this, we have home. Now, home, under home, we have paste, which when you put your mouse on it, it gives you Control V. You have cut, and then copy, format painter. So copy, cut, paste, and all this, you understand them. But format painter, you don't understand, or maybe you understand it in Word. If you understand it in Word, then it works the same thing in Excel. Or what it does is that so we have here Ghana, and then we have here, let's say Togo. Then we formatted it to be, so we are changing the font size for Ghana to Times New Roman. I've done that. And then we are increasing the font size to 16. I've done that. And we are making the font size to be bold. I've done that. So what the format painter does is that when you click on Ghana and you double click on the format, you click on the format painter, it makes that cells to be active. And then you just click on the Togo. So it quickly applies the format of the earlier one on what? The one that you click over. So you see that I've not done anything much, but now they all have the same font style, font type. They all have the fonts, the same font size, and they're all bold. Now I'm going to undo it. Control Z. This is how it was. The font here is Calibri. The font here is Calibri for Togo, and then for Ghana, it's Times New Roman. The font size is 11. It's not been bold, but when I click on Format Painter, so you click on Ghana, and then click on Format Painter, and click on Togo, it makes it look like how Ghana was. Is that okay? So it gives you uniform. It makes everything uniform. So that is something that's what you use the format painter for. Now, so I was talking about row and column. This is row, this is row, this is row. Now, this is column 1. Hey, sorry, this is column. Sorry, this is column. Oh, okay, thank you, Linda. Thank you, Linda. So we have our A to be column 1, the B to be column B, C to be column C. And then we have row 1, row 2. I try to highlight it so that you see what I'm showing. And then we have row 3, and then we have row 4. Now, looking at this, when you click on Ghana, you see that when you click on Ghana, it gives you cell reference here, or the name box, or the cell reference here as what? C3. It means that column 3, row 3. So which means that the name Ghana is being typed at where? Column 3, row 3. Column C, row 3. Now, when I click on Togo, it gives me C4. That's a reference cell or the name box or the reference cell. It gives me what? C4. So it means that C4 have what? The country for what? Togo. So that's what we need to know. So basically, when you click here, it gives you what? The cell name. Now, we go to insert the next tab. So the first tab we started with was with file, where we learn how to save things or save our worksheet. Now, the next thing we are working on is insert. We can insert a pivot table or recommended pivot table, which also makes gives you a table that looks so nice, not from the normal table you are seeing. Then you also have just to insert a table. So to insert a table, you have a table here, and then you click on insert the table. It highlights everything you have in there, and it gives you this dialog box. This dialog box. So if you want to create a table from all what you have, then it gives you this dialog box and it tells you, okay, so your table, that it gives you a formula to create the table for you. So you see, it has highlighted everything here. The two things we have here, it has highlighted them, which is from C3 to C4. So you can also say that my table have headers. Then when you click on that, it's assuming that Ghana is now a header for your table. But this one doesn't have a header. It's just an illustration. So we can make this a table. Okay. Then we have, you can also insert pictures, big pictures online, shapes. Shapes, sometimes we also need to use them. So we have these shapes here, but Excel is basically for the numerical things. So we may not like to involve that much shape in Excel, but I have basically like most of the things you have here. And then we also have smart shapes, which you can see, you can get most of them in Excel. So there are a lot of things here, and the best things we can use here will be the charts here, recommended chart. So when it gets here, you see you can see your bar charts, your histograms, your scatter plot. You click here, there are a lot of scatter plots you like to use. If you like to do anything or do any scatter plot, you can use them. And then you also have the pie chart. You have the 2D pie chart, the 3D pie chart. We have them here. Then we also have what you call the page layout. The page layout. We also have the themes, the margin. You want to set your margin, you want to sell the, you set your orientation. So initially I said Excel has its orientation to be what? Portrait. That's the default orientation. And you can also change them to landscape. Seeing how large your data is, you can change them to landscape. They also have the size. We have letter, tablet, legal, statement, executive, A3, A4. Some may not have this A3 or A4. So you have to know the dimension. Then you come to more paper sizes and put in your custom paper size. Then we have the printable areas or the print areas. Where do you want to print? You can also go there. You have the page break. You have the page breaks. Page break. So you are doing something and you want to set a page break. You want the page to start on the new page. That's what you use. You use the word to call the page break. In Microsoft Word, when you are working and then you want to work, you want every chapter to be on a new page, you make use of what you call the page break. So it puts every new chapter on a new page. That's the same way the page break also works here. Then we also have a formula, or what is in here are formulas. So you can talk about the auto sum, which sum everything automatically. They have the recently used formula. If you are into the financial sector, you have a lot of financial formulas that are in here, and you can also insert your own formula to do certain calculations for you. So you also have your date and time, lookup and reference, math and trick. Then you have name manager and all things. We also have calculators here, or calculator that can calculate a lot of stuff for you. Then we also have what you call data. When you come here, the best things you have to use here is one, to import data from other sources, from assets, from the web, or from text, or from any other source. Then we also have what you call sorting. Sorting, to sort data. Sorting means to arrange data in either ascending or descending order. Then you also have what you call filter. To filter, there are certain things you want to see. There are certain things you don't want to see in your data. So the best to use is what you call filter. and using that will let you be able to at least work with certain things. Maybe you have a data that will have empty spaces. When you filter it, you can filter so that it will not show you the variables with empty data or with nothing in it. Okay. Then we can also do what you call the flash fill. I will illustrate that at this time. When we get further. Then we also have remove duplicate. Excel can do what you call data validation and remove duplicate, and you can equally use Excel for analysis. You can group and ungroup content in Excel. So that's when. And then what we come to what you call review to check spelling. So we have like research, spelling, you can translate. You check here, it gives you the language in which you can translate into. You also have comments. I do some work in Excel, send it to you. It's good. You also do your input. But for us to contribute on colleagues level, you can do that by adding comments. So when you click on comments, then you write here. So it will show that, okay, this person have made this comment. So it comes with this red symbol here. So you put your cursor right and you see the comments that was made. Then we come here, the last part of it, which you have here, is talking about the view. You see the view, what you have is that you have the normal, which is highlighted. So, which means that the default view is a normal view. Then we come to what you call the page break view. I'll click on it. So it gives me the page break view. It only tries to select only active area for because of where we have our data inputted. They have the page layout. The page layout. You see that it have page layout, and then it gives you click here to add header. So when you want to add header, you can just put in your header here. So let's say so we want to put the header as maybe the name. So put your header here. So I put the header here as Ghana. Then as well, you can also put in the footer. So you click here and then you add a footer. So click here and put your footer. So you see that when you click on Control P, you see that it shows you a header which is Ghana and a footer which says that, oh, Ghana is beautiful. So it's printing only one out of one page. So that's what you have here. Now, to go back there, we are going back and then do some little calculations. So let's start to type something. So we have, let's say, we are going to enter some data, right? So A1, you put in name. So A1, you put in first name. And put in second name. Are you here with me? Are you here with me? Okay, so let's do this. We are going to, so you see, I've cleared this, but I still have the comments there. So I can click on it, then right click here. Let me just get this comment off. So I'm going to delete the comment. So I've now deleted the comment. So we have here age here, name, first name, and then surname, and then the age. So the first name we enter is I've seen Yao, and then the second name is Ame. Okay. So let's assume that he's 18 years. That's a legal age. Then, so I've seen Sophie. Then the surname is Nkitsenj. Then let's assume it's also 22. Then I have, I hope I'm getting this correct as the first name, Chinazon. Then surname would be Azubuike. And we assume it's also 19 years. So now we've entered our data here. Please, if you don't understand anything, let me know so that we quickly go over it. Okay, we enter our data here. Now we have the data here to say, okay, that we are taking first name, surname, and then what? Age. Now, what can we do with this? What can we do with this? What can we do with this? So first, we do what we call the auto sum, right? We are doing what we call the auto sum. Please, are you done typing? Let me know if you are done typing, and if you can move on. Can we move on? Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah and Yao. So I've entered my data here. By default, yours will be Calibri. The font size will, the font name will be Calibri, and then the font size will be what? 11. So you have to select all. So you can click here on A and then drag, click and drag to select all. So you click and drag till the end to select all. Or you click on the first one and then press on Control A to select all, right? Then you can change the font to Times New Roman. You go to the font and you type Times, and then before you finish typing, New Roman will come, and then you put it there, you click enter and you pick, then it change it. And then you want the font size to be 14. So I type 14 here, and then it has changed here. It has changed here. Now, when you click on A1, you see first name, but the name is not complete there, right? So what you have to do here is double click here. I've put, you see where my cursor is? Between A and B, there's a boundary line. So put your cursor on the boundary line, double click, and it opens up that column for you. Is that okay? Is that okay? Or put your cursor over the boundary line, it gives you this shape, then you click and hold, and then you drag it this way. Is that okay? And then with this one too, you put your cursor there, click, is that okay? Okay, so we have this here. Now, we have first name, surname, and age. So I think we've forgotten something. We need to put in maybe gender. So we have to insert a column. You have to insert a column. So we click on, we highlight cell C, and then right click and do insert. Insert a column at the left of each. So you type in the gender. So we know Yao will be a male, and then Sophie will be a female, and then Chinazo, can you help us? So we said we are adding another member. We are adding another member. So let's see. So the first name is Linda, and then the name is Okuku. Surname is Okuku, and then he's also a female, and then being, let's say, 18 or 23 years. So now, what can we do with this? What can we do with this? First of all, we can, this is a table we have here. So let's go to view. So let's go to view. Then you click on grid lines, and then it takes everything off, right? Okay, if you have any issue, let me know. You go to view, view is here, and then on and then press on Control A, that is to select all. Then you click here, you click on this arrow here, to click on the arrow, and then you can indicate all borders. Now this is what it gives us. So let me quickly go over how I made my table look this way. So I've undone the work I did earlier on. So what I did was that we are still on the home tab. So just be on the home tab, then select all, Control A, then go to format as table. When you go to format as table, there are a lot of designs here you would like to choose. So I'm choosing from this side. Sorry, let me involve my lighter so that my spotlight, so that you see what I'm doing. So you highlight this, and then you go to format table. When you click on it, you see all this here. So you just choose one of them. Then you always have to be careful about this, whether a table is having headers or no headers. So my table is having headers, so I click on OK, and it gives me this look. Now, what can we do here? What can we do here? We can sort the data we have here, one by first name, or by age, or by gender, right? And sorting can be done in ascending order or descending order. So with the same data, I'll click on maybe any of them, and then you go to data, check the tabs here. We have home, set, page layout, formula, and then data. So click on data. When you click on data, we have sort and then filter. So we click on sort. When you click on sort, you want to sort with first name so that you should arrange it from A to Z. So sort by first name, click here, and I said it's what? Values. So you should sort from A to Z. Then I click on OK. Now, you see that after doing that, you see that after doing that, you see that now we have the first name, or the first name, the data is being sorted according to how the first name are being spelled in alphabetical order. So we have Chinezo Tinezum coming first, Linda coming second, Sophie coming third, and then Yao also coming what? Fourth, or being on the fifth row. So that's it. And then they can also sort in multiple orders. So you click on this data, you go back here again to sort. That's data and then sort. Then, first of all, I said, okay, let's sort by first name. Then I said it should be in order from A to Z. Then I add another level. You click on this to add another level. So with this one, we should sort also by, let's say, age. To sort by order of first name, then age. So you should sort by age. The next order should be by age, from the smallest to the highest. Then you click on OK. When you click on OK, you see that, okay, the first one is sorting by name, and then so teenager is the first one when you sort in alphabetical order. So we sort the first name, you sort this one first, and after that we apply this rule. Now teenager comes first, or this one comes first, or this lady comes first, and she's the second youngest, right? So we sort all these ones, and after that, then we apply the rule of sorting these ones. When we apply the rule of sorting this one, then we arrange it. That's what Excel is doing for us. Is that okay? Now, we can also clear all the sorting we did. So, for instance, with sorting this side, we can delete that level, and we can sort them by age, from smallest to the highest. When we sort by age, we are having Yao coming first, followed by order. So you sort by what? From the lowest to the highest. Is that okay? So from the youngest to the oldest. Now, what again can we do? We can find the sum of the ages of all the people, right? We can find the sum of ages of all the people. So we have equal to, then where we have the ages, we look out for the cell names. So for instance, the cell name of the first person's age is D2. We look at this one, we click on the first age, it give us D2. The second age give us what? D3. The third age give us D4, and so on. So to find the total age, or the sum of all their ages, you click equal to, then D2. So the moment you type D2, the D2 is being highlighted there, plus D3. It's not that case sensitive. So either in caps or small letters, it will work. Plus D3, and then plus D4. Now it's adding them. Then the last one, which is plus D5. Then we enter an equal to sign. So you see that there's a summation sign here, right? Okay, so that's the total age. Now, instead of using the equal to D2 plus D3 plus D4, you could also say that, okay, you also use what you call the function. So equal to, and then the function is what you call the sum, into bracket. It should add the values from D2, which is D2, to use the is to sign, or the column sign, to D5, and then we close the bracket. Then press enter. So it's either we use the function, which is the sum, or we use the formula, or give us the same answer. But sometimes using the formula or using the function is the best, right? Sometimes use the function. And then the third one we can use is what you also call the auto sum. The auto sum. The auto sum will just come immediately below the values. So I'm going to delete all the value, all the summations I did here. I'm going to delete all the summations I did here. So you just go home, click on home, and then when you check at the end of the screen, my cursor is showing there. You see auto sum. So click on it, and it just gives you the answer there. So that's one way we can also sum. Is that okay? Are we on course? Are we on course? Okay. Thank you.
So Henry, let me just find out if there are people who want to ask, unmute and ask you.
Hello.
Hello? Yes. So if there's anyone here who wants to ask Henry a question, maybe you want to unmute, you can let me know and I will unmute you. Okay, it looks like everyone or most people are following, so I think you can just continue.
So we have this as our basic data we have in Excel. We can also have large data sets that you also enter in Excel. So I have another data that I'm also working on. So I'm going to open it and then we play with it and see how it is. So please, can you see my new screen? Okay, then let me go back to share it so that we can all have a look at it. Okay, so we are here now. I hope everybody can see the new screen I'm sharing. So this is this is a data for participants with their Ghana address. Okay, thank you very much. This is a data for participants with their Ghana address. Is somebody talking? Is somebody talking? Okay. So this is data for participants with their Ghana address. So what I have here is participants or for participant details, their Google Map address, and then so you see this here is showing hash, but when you click it on it, it's showing that date and time. So for you to be able to see this, you pass the cursor here. Let me use the highlighter so you see what I'm doing. So you are seeing hash keys or hash keys here. Meanwhile, there is something there. So to see this real, you just have to put your cursor here between the A and B so that I have it this way and double click. Then when you double click, everything shows this way. Then you will be able to see everything here now. So you see that this is timestamp, is showing the date and time which data was submitted. And for me to organize this data, the best I could do is that I have to organize it by what you call field record. You have mothers and you assign field records to them. So you organize it by field records. So when you look at this, I have what you call TK. In our research field, every researcher has a code that they used to call them. So we have what you call TK here. When I go to the next one, we have KE. So this is KU's participants with all their Ghana, all their TPS. The Ghana post address and the latitude and then the longitude. We also have here 8 feet. So we have this. So instead of making all one, I just see that, okay, why wouldn't I organize all into just one, each worksheet? So each field worker have a worksheet, and then this is what we have. So with what you have here, you can try to sort it and see that, okay, at what time, which or who, at what time was each data entered. You can try to sort and see that at what time was each data entered. So you go to data, you go here, which data, you click on this, and then you sort by what. So first you have to check if this is shaded or if this is checked. My data has headers. So my data have headers. So you check by timestamp, and you said from the oldest to the newest. Then you click on OK. When you click on OK, you can see that the person who called it started his data entry on 27th October 2022 around 6 p.m. or 18 GMT, right? That's a minute to 7. And he finished, his last data was entered on 1st November 2022 around 2 p.m. or 14:54 GMT. So these are some things that you can know, and then at least you know how best you can play with your data. Is there any question somebody would like to ask? Is there any question?
Hi, I have a question.
Okay.
Yes, please, how do you highlight? Is it necessary to highlight every data before you sort, or is there a particular format to do it?
So you can click on one of them and press on Control A, right? When you press on Control A, and you click on the sort, that one will highlight. And then the second option is that since there is no space, if I create a space here, let's say I'm going to insert an empty column here, then I do Control A. It only selects the first one for me because there's a break, there's a column break there. So when I click on sort, it's going to sort only the one that is highlighted for me. You understand? Okay. But without the column, without the rule, you can just click on one of them and then click on sort. When you click on sort, it will just highlight everything for you. Is that okay for you?
Yes, thank you.
Welcome. So we are just seeing this data like this. We can also go to view and then take the grid lines off. And then you go to home, click on the arrow down, then you do, so you have to select all, then you go to home, click on this one, how to send it, this one, and click on all borders. That will put your data in border, that will put your data in nice borders. So looking at this one compared to this, you see this one looks somehow presentable and nice. Then you can also format the table. So Control A, then format table as. You can choose one of this, then select on have headers, and then you format it this way. It looks presentable now, right? Far better than this. Okay. So to print this, okay, it's quite unfortunate I can't zoom this one. But when you do Control P, let me go to the page size. So go to the page layout, and then we are going to choose the page size. The default page size is letter. So we are going to choose A3, right? When you choose A3, there is a break. There is a break here. Let me increase the size to see if you see the break. So there is a break here. So it means that if you want to print this, it will print from the first variable from timestamp to the enter participant ID. And then the rest will be printed on a different page. So when you want to print this, that's what you see. But you can also try and then fit it on one page. So you try and resize. We have here field worker code. So instead of making it field worker code, you can just make it FW. You can change the heading. Sorry. You can change the heading there to FW. Or either I change the heading to FW code, or you just reduce the size here this way. Then you also click, drag, reduce the size to the size that it can be seen here. Then you also click this place, drag, click and then move, drag for it, and then move it closer. And then maybe this might not be that important for us, so you can close it up or this way. Now, when you close it up, you see that the break is now here. So it means that when you want to print this, you do Control P and want to print this, you can fit all on one page. That'll be perfect for us. Right? That'll be perfect for us. Or to see everything on the timestamp, you can, it's quite unfortunate now, we cannot edit our header because we have given it, because of the design we have put it, we have done. So we can go back and then maybe just click all and highlight all the table and then format. You can clear all the format. You can clear all the format or just keep it as it is. Then you know what you entered there. Then you can have it. Now you also have test wrap. You also have test wrap. I think our time is almost up. You have test wrap. Test wrap will try and open up words that you are not able to open up. So it wrap the test. If you have to go to the next line, send them to the next line. Is that okay? Okay. So let's go here, for instance. So here, instead of enter participant ID, we can just make it PID. Then the FW code, make the field can make it FW code, so that we may not have long headers. Is that okay? Now I double click and then it opens the longest thing we have in there. So here we have enter Ghana address. So we have what? We have a Ghana address. Simple here. Then after that, I just double click this one and it resizes it for us. Is that okay? Yes. So I think our time is far spent, and these are some illustrations we can do. Hello, Madam Linda. Hello, Madam Linda. So our time is fast spent, and then these are some illustrations we can do with Excel. So you can try to do some basics you think you can do, and then when you have issues, I'll be available. I'll make my email available. Hello, Madam Linda.
Hi.
Yes, please. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, please. Our time is due. Is due, but I don't know. So I think we are working in a limited time space. I think I would like to give out my email.
Okay. But if you need extra time, you can continue.
Maybe it's 15 minutes to wrap up.
That's fine.
Yes, please.
That's fine. You can continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So Madam Linda is giving us some time to continue. So in our 15 minutes time, we just need to wrap up. So is anybody having any questions? Is there any question? Is there any question anybody would like to ask? Is there any suggestion? Is there any contribution? I think you are allowed to talk, so you can also make your input or unmute your mic and then say something you want to do, you want to add. Okay, so in essence, if there's no question, then let me just go over it and then we have to call it a day. Okay, thank you. So I'm just trying to flip through the number or the various things I have here. So this is basically what I have here. So it's good to know Excel because the importance of Excel is that when you are working and for instance, you are being given attendance list to do, you don't do that in Word. You understand? Okay, somebody said, so how do you place a page break in Excel? So in Excel, so how do you place a page break? So using this page as an illustration. So we have here home. When you come on the title tab, we have home, reset, and then page break, right? So first of all, you should know whether you are working in A3, A4, or letter. So let's go to the size of the document. It's A3. It's letter. So you are going to choose A3, right? And then page break, you click on breaks, and then you insert a page break. Is that okay? So after inserting a page break, you see that there are some additional lines. Okay, I'll answer your next question for you. So you see that there are these lines here. You see the dotted line. Let me increase it so that you see it well. So after inserting, you see this dotted line between the I and J. Between I and J, there is this dotted line. And that line tells you the boundary of the A4 sheet you are working within. So that's the page break. It tells you the boundary of the page you are working within. So from 72 here, up here. So this is one page. So from 72 to also from 1 to 72, you fit on one page. Is that okay? You fit on one page. And then when you click on Control P, so print on artist account, sorry. So let me just reduce this to size where you can see it well. So you say you select all and then Control P. you print on active, you print selection. Then so I'm choosing scaling. So with what you have here, we need to scale it more to be able to get everything better. So basically, that's what the page break do. The page break simply tells you the number of pages you are working in. And if there is a need for it to move to the next page, that is also shows you. So we have what you call the page break view. When you go to view, you have what you call the page break view, or you click at the down here. And then we have the normal view, then the page break view, and then we have the page layout view, and then the page break view. So this is the page break view. This is the page break view. So when you want to print, you don't know the number of documents you want to print per page. So what you do is that the page break tells you how many documents or number of pages you'll be printing. So for us to print this document, we have it on 5 pages. Is that okay? Madam Chinazom, is that okay? Okay. So the page break simply, or the page break tells us the number of pages that we'll be having. So you have from page 1, then page 2, and then page 3. So this, you can also use it as a preview. Then when you are done, you come back to your normal view and then have everything this way. Is there any other question? Is there any other question? Now you can also delete. So I was talking about deleting the whole content or deleting only the content in it. So when you highlight, for instance, you highlight this and you right click, you can clear the content and then the column will be there as an empty column, right? You can also right click and just delete. And then when you delete, the content and then the column goes off. Is that okay? So that's one way you can also delete. Then you can also select a range of items here and then delete it. So for instance, you highlight on the row 4, you press on the shift button and then the arrow down, you go down and you keep selecting. And then you right click on it and you press delete and it deletes. When it deletes, it still highlights the number of cells of rows that were deleted. You can also insert. Just highlight insert, and this insert empty number of columns or one column wise or row wise. When you do this way, it insert empty number of columns or empty number of rows for you. Again, this is how you do it. If you want to insert, let's say you want to insert 11 rows. So you highlight 11 rows, right click on it, and then do insert. It inserts 11 rows for you. Is that okay? 11 empty rows. The same way we want to insert, let's say 2 columns. So we do this, and then right click, and then we do insert. Then it's insert for us. So maybe you can give it a heading, and whatever you have, you type it in there. Is that okay? Okay. So is there any question so that we can run? We just have to close for now. Is there any question? I'm typing in my email address. If you have any question, anything, any assistant, you can email me and then we can set time to discuss. Hello, Jennifer, you can talk.
Okay, thank you. Please, the cells, you see when they work, and you delete some, it's like borders erase. How do you bring them back?
Jennifer, I can't hear you. Can you please?
Yes, I was saying that when you create the cells and you put borders around it, you
Okay.
delete somewhere in the middle of the cells. It's like the border lines erase.
The
So
border.
how do you, yes, but the border lines erase at where you deleted. So how does
I'm sorry, I'm struggling to get what you are saying, but if you can do it by typing it.
okay.
Yes, please.
Not what you just did, but like you see, you place borders around the table, just the lines.
So
Right.
you are talking about
But
so having to play the borders around.
the cells. But when,
Are you talking? Hold on. Are you talking about, okay? So I go to view, and then I take this off, right? And then come to home, and then choose all borders, right?
yes, yes.
So you are talking. So if you don't click all, it will only give one. It will only give the border for one. So you have to click all, come here, and then all borders. Are you talking about this?
So right now, as lines have come, you delete somewhere in the middle. It's like the lines, border lines, delete, erase.
So you are talking about if you delete something there.
Yes.
For instance, I'm deleting them for cell system. This one. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Or
For
I'm talking
instance,
about clear the content.
yes, please.
So okay. So with this one, for instance, you can clear, right click, and then you clear the content. It will still be there with the borders.
Okay.
Right?
Sorry, the content.
Yes. But if you know that what is there is not necessary for you and you are okay, then you can just delete it. Is that okay?
Okay.
Yes. That's simple. Or you can cut. You can cut it. You can cut and move. Or you can cut it and paste it somewhere. Either you use the Control S or you right click and then cut. Then you paste it elsewhere. You understand? But when you cut it, you are creating a space in there. And when you have to do Control A, it will not select everything. It's going to select the one at the top because there is a barrier in between.
Okay.
You understand?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
what.
Yes.
Okay. So it's best that you just when you cut it or just copy it and paste it. Then when you are done, you come and just do it, highlight it, and then delete the content. Now,
Okay.
when you delete the content, now when you highlight it, you can highlight everything.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yes, please. Thank you.
You're welcome. And a quick one. So let's say we have is there anybody with a question? So let's do this. We have a item. We have a unit cost. So you see, I have, instead of unit cost, my O did not count. So I use a C. So I click on the formula bar and delete the O and use a C there. Is that okay? Simple. Then unit cost, then amount. Or unit cost quantity, then amount, right? Okay. So now what you are going to do is that you are going to just create a formula so that whenever you enter everything, it will just pre-fill for us. So you have an item that you are selling. So how do you find the amount? So let's say we have a soap. Then the unit cost of the soap is 2 cedis. Then maybe somebody is buying 15 or 12 pieces. Then how do you enter the amount? So the amount will be equal to, you press or equal to sign here. We are now going to use a formula. Then you click on the quantity, which is C2, and then times the unit cost, which is B2, and then you press enter, right? Now, when you press enter, so we assume that we are going to work up to row 10. So row 10 should be our total. Then we would like to do it in such a way that when you enter the quantity, you enter the item, the unit cost, and then the quantity. The unit cost, the amount should be filled automatically. So we click here. Well, that's when we enter the formula, and we drag it to 9, right? When you drag it to 9, all what you see there will be zeros. And then at the total, we can either click on this, which is the auto sum, or you can type equal to, you can put in the function equal to. Then you start from D2, you see D2 have been highlighted. That's the nice thing about Excel. The moment you type the cell and it knows the cell in which you are typing, it highlights it for you. D2 to D9. And then you close the bracket and press enter. So when you type everything, it's going to be calculating for us. So we have soap, then we have maybe pen. How many? Let's say 10, and one is 2 cedis. Or let's say 10 cedis and about 2. So you press tab and it gives you what? The cost here, and then it gives you the total. So you are buying, then you know that, okay, you still have some money because you still spend 44 cedis, you have some money more. Then, okay, you buy handkerchief. The unit cost is, let's say, 12 cedis, and then you bought 12. Then, so 12 by 12, value 144. So with this one, you know that, okay, or you are looking for market, you do this on your laptop, and then, or on your phone, then you copy it, or you take a screenshot, you have it, that will guide you in the shopping. So you have this where you use the pre-filled formula. So let's see, the next thing you buy is EEE, then the unit cost is 0.5, then you bought 100. That will give you 50, that will give you this. Is that okay? So with Excel can do things like this and it makes life so easy. Is that okay? So I think we've come to our session, end of our session for the day, and I'm very grateful for taking some time here to listen to me whilst I take you through the basics in Excel. I chose this because I've seen that mostly these are things that are hardly taught in schools, and not everybody that know the basics. And to know something is knowing the basics, and then you can apply further knowledge on it. So I'm much grateful for your time, and I'm done for the day. And I would also like to find out from you if you have any question, any suggestion, so that you bring it on board. My email is in the chat box, and if you have anything you think you want to email me, I'll be fine.